Beowulf is without a doubt the most ancient surviving epic poem of the so-called Anglo-Saxon epic tradition. Set in the 6th century, the southwestern part of contemporary Sweden, the poem begins with a genealogy of the royal dynasty of the Scyldings, or Danes. This royal line is named for a mythic hero ancestor who arrived at the shores of this region as a castaway infant. The child, shield shaving, landed on the shore in a ship loaded with treasure. This funeral of Shield is marked as an early event, but the poem soon shifts to the present moment in which the current king, Gar, the great-grandson of Shield, presides over a great mead hall called Heorot as a successful warrior king. However, for 12 years this mead hall has been beset by a murderous ogre. This ogre, Grendel, is a descendant of the biblical murderer Cain, and attacks the mead hall nightly, menacing Hrothgar, raiding the mead hall, and killing the warriors. A young warrior named Beowulf from Geatland, in present southwestern Sweden, with 14 of his men, comes to the aid of the Scyldings. Hrothgar, it turns out, helped shelter Beowulf's father during a deadly feud. For this, Beowulf wishes to return the favor while gaining honor, glory, and treasure for himself and for the kings of the Geats. On his first night in Hrothgar's mead hall, during a feast, a drunk and rude thane named Unferth insults Beowulf by saying that Beowulf once lost a swimming contest against one of his boyhood friends named Brecca. Because of this, he claims, Beowulf is no match for Grendel. Beowulf responds by explaining to Unferth that he and the other swimmer were in fact separated at sea on the 5th night of the contest, at which point Beowulf killed 9 sea monsters before he finally swam ashore. He puts Unferth in his place while maintaining his dignity. That night, after the Danes retire to their sleeping quarters, Beowulf and his men lay in for the night in the mead hall to await the raid from Grendel. Of course, Grendel arrives, furious that there has been so much celebration in the mead hall. He attacks the Geats. After killing one of them, Grendel goes after Beowulf. Beowulf has the strength of 30 men, and he takes hold of Grendel's arm, gripping it and refusing to let go. The battle nearly destroys the great mead hall, but Beowulf succeeds in ripping Grendel's arm out of its socket from shoulder to claw. Victorious, Beowulf sends the mortally wounded Grendel back to his mirror. The claw of Grendel is hung from the roof of the Heorot as a trophy. The next day, the Shields celebrate their victory in the battle of Beowulf and Grendel. Hrothgar's official bard performs on his harp and sings traditional lays which recount the great victories of the past. He sings of the victory of the Danes at Finnsburg. He also improvises a song celebrating the victory of Beowulf. Hrothgar's wife, Queen Walchtheo, offers Beowulf a gold collar and her gratitude. After a night of feasting and drinking mead and wine, the entire party beds down for what they think will be their first peaceful night in many years. However, Grendel's mother comes to seek revenge for her son. Not quite as powerful as Grendel, but fueled by grief and rage, she takes her son's claw from the mead hall and abducts one of the Scyldings, as Beowulf sleeps unaware. The next day, Hrothgar, Beowulf, and the group of Scyldings and Geats track Grendel's mother to her swamp at the edge of the mere. They discover Ashera's head on a cliff that overlooks a lake which conceals the ogre's lair. Beowulf takes the sword called Runting from Unferth, who he had argued with previously, and dives into the cave to find Grendel's mother. As Beowulf approaches the bottom of the lake, Grendel's mother attacks. She drags him to her cave. Once they reach the dry cavern, Beowulf fights back, but Runting cannot penetrate the ogre's hide. of Grendel's mother. She moves to cut him with her knife, but Beowulf's armor was forged by the legendary smith Wieland and protects him. Beowulf then sees a giant magic sword, too heavy for any ordinary man, but not for Beowulf, and he swings it at Grendel's mother. This cuts into her spine at her neck and kills her. At this, the magical light illuminates the cave, and Beowulf discovers the body of Grendel and a great treasure. Beowulf cuts the head off the corpse, and the magic sword melts down to the hilt. Beowulf returns to the surface with the head and the hilt, but leaves the treasure. Another great celebration is held in the Heorot. Hrothgar delivers a sermon on the perils of pride and the mutability of time. After this, Beowulf and his men return to their homeland.